But if I stand back, here's some of my takeaways, and maybe you can give a few from your side too, Rashab. Uh, One is there's low hanging fruit. There's very simple things that customers and companies should be doing to make sure you are sending a clear signal to potential customers and your actual customers that you're doing the right thing here when it comes to targeted advertising. You should absolutely have some core messaging on your website that says it in a way a human being can understand it. You should have some basic infrastructure that makes clear that you can both take the signals and pass them on the right way, because if unless you're a brand that is not targeting and retargeting, which seems rare at this point, if you're a brand that's doing that, you want to have it clear on your website that you're doing this in a more automated way, because it's just so clear that you can't do this totally manually. And third, there are some good ways in a cost efficient way that matches what you're doing to make sure you build in some flexibility into your approach, so that if something changes, you have a way to pivot and make sure you can comply in the right way. And if I'm thinking about brands coming into the holiday season, who are thinking about making sure they can do this the right way, those are my three takeaways. There is a path, there can be cost efficiency, you can build some flexibility in the system, but make sure you do something, because it's a big red flag if you're a brand and your website says, click here and send an email, to make sure you're doing it right. So anyway, I'll turn it back to you, and maybe you can think big picture a little bit about where this is going or takeaway wise.
Yeah, no, I mean, first of all, I couldn't agree more with the sort of three things that you said as the big takeaways around, there are essentially things that you can do today and you should do them today. I think for me, one of the big takeaways from today's discussion is I think it's pretty clear what consumers want. And so, you know, California, I mean, it's voters who voted for CCPA. It's people. It's not some legislation. It's not some legislators, in a room somewhere who came up with this. It's a proposition. And so it's people in California who said, we want this. And then they said, we want it again. And so when people are telling you what they want, my sort of way of thinking about this is when people are telling you what they want, it tends to mean that they want it. And if you give them, and if you show that you're listening, and you show that you're listening sooner rather than later, they will trust you more. And so my big takeaway from CCPA, CPRA, Apple, all of these announcements that keep happening is that it's pretty clear what consumer expectations are going to be moving forward. And if you set up correctly today, you are more likely to maintain and gain the trust of your consumers in the future. That's really my big takeaway from today's discussion and the legislations that we've been seeing.